Good evening, everyone. It is 6:30, and I'm ready to call the Audit and Finance Committee meeting to order. Thank you. So I am ready to have order.
I love order.
All right, so before we get started, I would like to do a roll call. I'll start with Mr. Clay.
Bill Clay, 12.
Dave Mayo, 20. Paul Bergdorf, 23.
Mark Durham, 29, what's the schedule?
Lynn LaCagas, 8.
Joe O'Brien, 25, Loudonville, West Albany.
Ray Joyce, 13.
Wanda Willingham, 3rd. Thank you. We do have a form? Okay, so we'll start by approving the previous meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. O'Brien, and I'll take that second from Ms. LaCagas.
Thank you.
All right. All those in favor to approve the minutes, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Passed. Okay, we're going to start with number 8 and the Sheriff's Department.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Good evening, Mr. Thompson.
Yes, Madam Chair. Our first one, number 8, is amending the Sheriff's Office budget overtime line.
Could you give me your title just so
Sure.
that-
My name is Kerry Thompson. I'm a Chief Deputy in the Law Enforcement Division of the Albany County Sheriff's Office. To my right is Pete Torncello. He's the Sheriff's Counsel now. Everybody knows
Madam Chairman.
Tom Marcello, I'm sure, here.
Okay, number 8, then amending the 2019 Sheriff's Office budget. Okay.
Yeah, so basically that is just our year-end adjustments to cover the expenditures that we've incurred in overtime. So we're taking money from lines that are robust and paying the bills that we need paid.
Questions? Questions, Mr. Bergdorf?
Just out of curiosity, where does most of the overtime occur? Is it at the correctional facility, on the road,
This
investigations?
Yeah, so this particular overtime here is not corrections. So it would be, let's see here. A lot of it is incurred as a, like, if somebody works overtime and they get comp time, and then we have this in the contracts, we have to pay that out at the end of the year. So that's a good portion of it, but it's pretty much law enforcement. It's not the correction side.
Okay, that was Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Any other questions?
No.
Can I get a motion? I got a motion from Mr. Mayo, a second from Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, carries. All right, number 9, bond authorization regarding construction projects located at the Clarksville Public Safety Building and Shaker Place Rehabilitation and Nursing Center.
So, Madam Chair, yeah, so that should be broken up into two separate projects. So they've both been approved in the capital plan. One is our public safety building in Clarksville, which we're in the process of undertaking right now. Includes remodeling the back portion of our Clarksville building, making a lot of the renovations that are needed. There's a wall that needs to be firmed up, a roof job, and also an exterior building that would house, we've already purchased under asset forfeiture money, but to pour a foundation, run electric and mechanical systems, it'll house all our specialty equipment in an area where it's centralized to our response areas. Right now, a lot of our equipment is spread out all over the county. We have a lot of it at the airport. So if it's needed out in the hill towns, we have to respond to the airport, and then so there's a delay. So that's that project. And with that project, we're asking for $1.5 million to be bonded in the current bond cycle. The second project is our E911 Center and Emergency Management Services Unit, which are located out at the Shaker Place location at the nursing home, where we're going to renovate a portion of the existing nursing home, and then we have an addition which is going to house our communication center, and that is an additional $1 million with that project.
Do Do I have any questions? If no questions, can I get a motion? Okay, I got a motion from Mr. O'Brien, I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor? Opposed? Passes. Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you.
All right, I would like to go to number 10.
Oh, Sean, are you going to speak on it?
I would like to, Mr. Canizer, and I would like to thank you for your help on getting this in, although it is a Board of Elections thing. I really would like to handle this because I had already authorized these lines to go negative because they had to purchase their mandated stuff from the state. And in lieu of this budget amendment
Can we
for
just do one thing? Can you
Oh,
please
I'm sorry.
identify yourself?
Hi, I'm Sean Thalen, Commissioner of Management and Budget,
Thank you very much. So
speaking
we're
for
amending
the Board of
resolution
Elections amendment.
Number 408 for 2019 regarding amendments to the 2019 Board of Elections budget.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
So, this amendment, brought to you by the Board of Elections, is to accept the funding by the state for 2 contracts we've already passed. This is for the early voting hardware and ancillary items needed to take place, that they've actually, believe, started the early voting project earlier this week. This was a state mandate passed down, and this is to be able to collect the reimbursements for the purchases we've already done.
Any questions? Mr. Grimm?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. So, the books have been already working since Saturday, right?
Yes.
So, we've paid for them how? Because we haven't gotten the reimbursement yet? And I can't imagine what was in the budget because the state just
It was
passed the
not.
stuff.
I had hoped that the amendment would have gone with the contracts. That was the intent when I passed that along to the Board of Elections on the last cycle when these were the contracts were brought before you. That did not happen. I had authorized them to go negative because with the authorization of those contracts, I can still get reimbursement. But this amendment, it's a better way for this amendment to actually take place.
Because and you may not know this, the election commissioners may, they said they didn't feel like everything was going to be reimbursed. And it was some unfunded mandate, so it's a little unclear to me how much of this whole new early voting thing is going to be reimbursed and how much isn't.
I can only say what they've brought to me, and so it's third hand at what I'm passing on you now, but I think there's like a $50,000 to $70,000 shortfall depending on the services that you would have to keep these items running, i.e. the internet aspect from Verizon or whomever the provider for the updates of the software are.
$50,000 to $70,000 difference between
What the state
cost is and what the
authorized.
state is going to pay for. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there any other questions? If not, thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe we have can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
I got a motion from Mr. Clay, a second from Mr. Jones. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Excuse me. Dr. Whalen, good evening.
Good evening.
All right. Yes, we're on number 11. Could you please just identify yourself so everyone knows who's on the front?
Sure. I'm Liza Whalen. I am the Commissioner of Health for the county.
Thank you. Number 11, authorizing an agreement with Better Health for Northeast New York, Inc. regarding the cardiovascular health management project and amending the 2019 Department of Health budget.
Thank you. Good evening. We're here to ask for permission to contract with Albany Medical Center and amend the 2019 budget. This is a contract with the PPS, the Performing Provider System. It's part of the Medicaid reform for Albany Med to continue some work that we've been doing with them and enhance the work we're doing related to cardiovascular disease and implementation of self-monitoring blood pressure programs, national diabetes prevention programs, and other efforts to decrease the incidence and morbidity associated with cardiovascular diseases.
Do I have any, does anyone have any questions? I do. Can you tell me how this works, how the residents into what we can, benefit from this?
Sure. So the real cornerstone of this program is to utilize community health workers, which are people that are from the communities that we are serving, and they act as links and conduits to help residents that may be in underserved areas be linked with programs and services that will help them help themselves. So an example would be that they would help purchase supplies for home blood pressure monitoring, or to help people get linked to services within a practice. We are looking at working with some medical practices so that we can identify people that have concerns perhaps related to social determinants of health, such as housing and other concerns. And our community health workers are trained to help them across that spectrum so that they can address concerns that may be preventing them from getting health care, and then help them towards getting health care.
So how are the referrals done again?
So the referrals are really multi-functional. If we are embedded within a practice, which we hope to be, a lot of them would come from the practice. So a doctor may see a patient and identify some risks and say, I think you'd be benefited by meeting with this community health worker who can help you with some of the concerns that you have at home. They would link them to other programs and services that we have both within the health department and within the county. And then they may say, we're going to give you a blood pressure monitor to go home with. They would ensure that they get to the next appointments. We would also be accepting community-based referrals from our other programs and services staff throughout the county. So there's there are multiple different ways people could be referred into the program.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mayo?
Just a question on the term of the grant. It says April until September 2019.
Right. So, yeah, the DIS, I know, it sounds like a short period of time. A lot of this is for work that we're already doing, and it is likely that the work will go on past that September, because we're going to be able to get a lot of the courses started, like National Diabetes Prevention Program is a 16-week course, and we'll be able to get the supplies necessary as well.
But it just expired.
It expired September 30th.
Well, right, no, but I'm talking about the purchasing that will occur beforehand.
No.
You had
What's that?
the truck, Shannon.
No, it's October.
It's October 2019.
Is that
Is that a typo?
Is it typo?
It must be 2020, I'm sorry.
So this amendment is for the 2019, anything that did not happen to
Right.
2019 to through September 30th of 2020
Yep,
would be encumbered.
I apologize for that.
September 20th, 2020 there.
There it is, yep.
Good catch, Mr. Nick.
Article 6, it has the typos not there, yeah.
2020.
Ayes have it.
Seemed funny when they were
Yeah.
saying 2019.
Last year.
That's, we're past that, right?
That's your excuse.
Yeah, we believe that.
Are there any other?
Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair, can you tell me, I frequently like to ask the practical outcomes, how we actually measure how well this grant performs, and what are the practical implications that we can measure?
Right, so there are different endpoints for this. One would be the outcome measures for how many people you would engage in the services. And then for something like National Diabetes Prevention Program, one of the most important outcome measures is how many people do you engage through the whole thing, right? So you've got somebody who's at high risk of diabetes, they have multiple other needs, you ask them to come be part of this training program, which is a 16-week program. Nationally, it's not a lot of people do the whole 16 weeks, but through our program's previous efforts, we've been able to maintain about 80% of people getting through, which is really a lot higher. And I think that, again, the reason for that is that we are hiring people from the communities that we serve that are really addressing other needs that they can ensure are met so that they can get these services.
So you see, you're measuring the people who are engaged, the people who
Yep.
actually, they're working, but that doesn't
Right.
tell me how well
So-
we're dealing with them. In other words,
Right.
if we're trying to lower blood pressure,
Yep.
do we have any numbers on how many people we actually lower their blood pressure?
Yeah, so with the DISRIP initiatives, as you are aware, the endpoint for DISRIP is the amount of preventable ED visits and hospitalizations decreased by a factor of 25%. That's the goal of the project. So they are going to be measuring that, but that's a broader measure. They are also going to be following these patients along through certainly the patients that are engaged through practices, we can get a better feel for how their blood pressure and other comorbidities like diabetes are being monitored. When they meet their goals to go and get the preventive services and to follow along with blood pressure and diabetes, they of course would have checks for how they're doing with that, whether they're compliant with their medications, if they have diabetes, how measures such as HbA1c are, etc.
Is this an annual grant? Have you gotten this previously?
This is not an annual grant. The DISRIP, as you know, is a 5-year program that's administered through the state to redesign Medicaid. We did have some funding from them previous to this, and this is kind of a continuation of that funding, but there is no guarantee that this will be ongoing funding. In fact, we're now looking at DISRIP, we're in the last year of DISRIP, so there is now, we're waiting from this, to hear from the state what the next iteration of DISRIP will look like, DISRIP 2.0, if you will.
Yeah, because I don't see any of the outcome language in on this proposal. So what I'd really like to see in the future is what your practical outcome goals are, or if it's a recurring grant, how did we do the previous year? We spend an awful lot of money on really good causes,
Yeah.
but it's very hard to see what the practical outcomes are.
Right, so as I said, there are definitely outcomes that'll be followed, but in terms of looking at specific clinical outcomes, I'm not aware of exactly how that's going to be tracked on patients that may be engaged outside of practices.
Okay, well, do the best you can, and include that if you would. I'd like to see that stuff. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can I get a motion? I got a motion from Mr. Bergdorf. I have a second from Mr. Mayo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're now going to move to number 12, Mr. Giordano. And this is amending the 2019 Department of Mental Health Budget overtime. Could you just say your name, please?
Yes, sure. My name is Steve Giordano. I'm the Mental Health Commissioner in Albany County.
Thank you very much. Number 12?
Yes, ma'am. The Department of Mental Health is requesting permission to transfer funds from a vacant social worker item to cover overtime costs in our mobile crisis team.
Do I have any questions from any members? If no questions, can I please get a motion? I got a motion from Mr. Clegg. Can I get a second? I got a second from Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Giordano.
Have a good night.
How do you get so early? It's the cats. That's what you have to do. Yeah, you're just the kind of guy you are.
We're going to be covering now 13 and 14.
13, 14, and 15, Madam Chair.
Okay, could you just give us, hold on. Yes.
I just want to let the committee know that before Commissioner Martini gets going, these bonds came in as 30 individual bonds, and we grouped them by category. So Commissioner Martini is going to talk about the DES ones, and we have Commissioner Raimondo here to talk about DEW ones, and is that it? That's it, right? Yeah, and that's it. So the 30 are split up into 6 bonds, and that's for ease of drafting, the bond counsel. So when you look through the backup, you're going to see multiple bond RLAs in there, just to explain how they're broken up. And then I'll defer to the commissioner.
I just wanted to ask if it would it be easier if we submitted them by fund group at?
No, it's actually, the way you did it is right. And,
Okay.
and I talked to Mike about that. That's right, but we have our own process that we split up.
Don't want to
Yeah.
recreate work.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Could you just give us your name, please?
Good evening, Madam Chair. I'm Commissioner of General Services, David Latina. I'm here to look authorization for Times Union capital plans for the 2020, which include upper level seating, an LED expansion, a replacement chiller, locker room upgrades, a new main arena floor, show power, a low roof replacement, and a loading dock upgrade on the Times Union Center.
And what's the amount of money?
Well, they're all different.
I know.
Well, we can go right through them. You want to go right through them?
We're taking them one at a time.
Okay.
It might be easier.
Oh, right.
What I'm saying to the chairperson is, these are going to be put together as 6 bonds, and it might be easier to see them in that format rather than, those will be calculated by bond council and put in there. If you'd like, I'm sure the commissioner will run through them, but you're going to see them in a different form than we're in the legislative meeting. They're going to be 6 bonds for multi-million amounts. Well, I won't say multi-million in this case, but they're going to be grouped in one amount rather than separately spread out.
Okay, all right, so why don't we do this then? So number, we're talking about 13 now, we went through the different
Projects,
the
man.
different projects that it is about. So let me just ask you this. We would have the individual numbers handy right there, because we can just look.
Yeah, I can go through them very quickly. Yes, the upper level seating is $752,000.
Okay.
The LED expansion, we're looking for $1.5 million. The chiller, BMS control, heat fan coil, lighting and upgrade is 1.25. The locker room renovations, which we're planning on right now, we already have architect working on it, is $850,000. The main arena sound system is another $850,000. The arena kitchen floor quad stairs refinishing project is $250,000. The additional show power and transformer replacement project is $306,000, we're estimating. And the loading dock upgrade, we're looking for $500,000.
Okay, and that's for number 13. Mr.
Can I
Verdell?
just ask a question? Have we begun any of these projects, or?
Yes, we've begun the locker room project. That's we have an architect working on that right now. We've been looking into the show power portion of it to really help along with the shows. We're getting that done. We did look into the arena floor. Some of these projects have already started. The patching projects and stuff like that have started with other bonding that we've had in these before. It's just extra, this is new money that we're going to need to finish these projects.
Okay. Now, also, didn't we get some Empire State Development grant for part of the locker room upgrades and some of the?
I don't believe we got that. We got a grant, the last grant I think we received.
We did, yes, sorry. Not to contradict you, but we were awarded approximately $1 million for a combination of the LED lighting, the locker rooms, and I believe the third is the upper level seating.
That's what I thought.
We'll work with them to determine how we'll group that, the most efficient way to do it through Empire State Development, but yes.
Okay, so if we're getting that $1 million through ESDC, it's still, what would you do?
Their grants are only reimbursement, so you still have to.
You have to lay out the money beforehand.
Exactly.
You get the money, you get it back in, what do you do with it, Sean?
That would go against debt service.
So you would make an advance payment against debt service?
And not CFAs, this is
Yeah, it's part
of the CFA. So anything like that, when the capital plan is taken into account, you know, we have a good sense if we're gonna get that money or not, and then when we go for the, you know, for our debt service fund, the B fund, we take into account any extra revenues that we would get for the year's bonding.
Right. And you have to keep in mind that the cap for Empire State Development funding is 20% of a project. So it's obviously a help, and it helps get projects done, and that's kind of the idea behind it, but you still have to come up with that other, you know, initially the 100%, but you're good for the 80%.
The bottom line is, if we spend this money, and then we get the $1 million from ESDC, that $1 million is gonna go back in, get debt service, to defease this particular issue of bonds, or just general debt service?
It would go against this tranche, yes.
This tranche.
Specific
Okay.
projects.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, thank you. Boy, we spent a lot of money on that building. And I'm wondering, does anybody have a list of just how much money we've spent on the TV center, say, since 2013? Can that kind of list be provided? Because I don't,
We could-
it isn't just the 19 million. I'm sure there's been, it's more than that. I don't think anyone really knows just how much money we've spent on that building.
You know, we could probably provide a list of what was spent over since 2013. Remember, you're dealing with a 25-year, you know, this building is 25 years old. I mean, it gets a lot of use. I mean,
It needs a lot of money. That's a negative, that it's an old building, that we have to pour a lot of money into.
yeah, I mean, it's, you know, in the upgrades, I think, you know, they provide, you know, one thing, the show power. I mean,
Oh, it's just whenever you're done.
the show power, for instance, I mean, these are requests actually, that come in actually from SMG too, actually, for show power. What happens there is they have to bring in generators there. We lose a lot of shows because we don't have that extra show power. So making these upgrades, you know, and upgrading these transformers in there, it's able for Bob to get bigger shows in there, which increases a little more of the income for the Times Union Center. So it's all about keeping this up and getting better shows in here all the time and keeping this building, you know, making money for the county.
Yeah, I just think it's a very heavy lift to keep a building modern that's 25 years old. It's a big ticket cost.
We do get 2 points from the hot tax for the debt service associated with the Times Union Center itself. It doesn't handle other facilities, but that one itself you do get.
Hotel tax.
Yeah,
Although we're getting a less percentage than previously. That's another issue.
For a different thing.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kraft. If there are-
May I ask a question,
Yes,
or
yes.
just make a statement real quick? We just completed a $19 million renovation of the TU Center, correct?
Correct, that was for the atrium portion.
Correct, okay. Now I just quickly added up the numbers you gave us, and this is in excess of $15 million. You know, they're almost $16 million, I think, just on what you read off to us. So I just want to put that in perspective, and we understand that we spent 19 million, and now we're looking at maybe another 15, 16
I don't believe it's 16 million.
Well, it was 5 million, 3 million, 2
I didn't see if, we don't have the 5 million here.
What was the last one?
The last one, you have 308,000.
The last one, yeah, I got 5 million was the last one.
No, I think it was 500,000. It's the
About
loading
6
dock.
So, all
million.
right, then we're looking at about $10, $11 million. So,
All right, so, Mr. Moriello, what's the question?
I'm just making the point that we spent 19 million now. When Mr. Grimm talks about the money that we've invested in the Times Union Center, we spent $19 million that we just completed, and now we're looking at another $10 million.
So, I just want to get clarification right now. So are you asking for a report on all of those dollars spent? Because if that's the case, I would prefer that we gave him some time to do that. And, you know, that's another presentation all unto itself.
We could definitely provide that breakdown
Yes.
and whatnot.
Yes.
I just
mean,
want to
it's not-
speak to one thing on that, if I don't,
Okay.
Madam Chair. I don't know how the numbers are getting added up here and what projects, but in the capital plan, only 6.6 million is slated for 2020. So, do you have any other requests outside of that?
No, this is all the request that's there. It's $6 million in request.
We'll give you a full breakout of that then too, and go from there.
Yes. And just want to, it's not an unreasonable request, I'm just saying that, ask him to try to make that presentation tonight. That would be unreasonable for us to ask him to do that.
Well, I'm not asking for that.
Oh, okay,
No, I'm not
it just sounded
No,
like.
I just was making a point that we spent 19 million, now we're looking at over 10.
Mr. O'Brien.
Make a motion to move
I
to.
got a motion, I have a motion from Mr. O'Brien, I got a second from Mr. Mayor, all those in favor? All those opposed? All right, so now we'll move on to 14.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, bond authorization regarding construction and renovation projects at various Albany County facilities.
Yes, these bonds, we're requesting the approval of these bonds. These are for all the other county buildings. We have a facility improvement, let me, I'll run right through the figures on the way through as we're going through it. The facility improvement bond, we're looking for $1 million. This covers painting, carpet, HVAC modification, department relocation, design fees, construction fit-ups for county office buildings. There's a $750,000 just for the Albany County renovation of this building for 112 State Street. We've done the roof here. We're gonna need some HVAC work on a lot of the air handlers here, electrical system, elevator modernization we're gonna be looking at. We've been having a lot of trouble with our elevators. The next one is a bond looking for $350,000 for a countywide engineering evaluations when we do projects. The next one is the energy upgrades for different buildings for $525,000. Running out, a lot of the buildings are running out of useful life of a lot of their equipment, HVAC equipment. Next one is another $250,000 for office modernization relocation. You know, again, HVAC chillers, electrical roofs when necessary, painting, carpeting, moving costs. This is for all the other buildings. We may be moving some offices up into the tower at the Shaker facility, which may be using this money for that move, to move some of the offices up there once that tower is abandoned. The next one is to the improvements, $500,000 for 175 Green Street, 240, 250, 260 South Pearl Street. We're looking to add a generator down there. They have no generator for that building down there. And HVAC mechanicals on the roof. We're looking to do a whole complete replacement of all those mechanicals on the roof. They're starting to age themselves out, so we want to get rid of those. The next one is $1.5 million for parking facility upgrades. It says parking facility repairs and maintenance project, but this is actually going to be for the Spruce Street Garage. We have to get an engineering evaluation done on Spruce Street Garage. We know we have some work to done on there and upgrades to do on the Spruce Street Garage. And that's our various facility bonding.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's no questions, can I get a motion?
Yeah, I have a question, Madam Chair. On the $750,000 office renovation, you say this project began in the fall of 2002 and has been ongoing?
Well, we've always added money to it because it's always a 5-year plan, and we just keep adding money to it as we're doing the renovations. So if you look
How
back.
long does it take to renovate a building?
Well, you don't renovate a complete building at one time. It's done floor by floor by floor.
Bathroom by bathroom.
By bathroom, floor, carpet by floor. So, you know, everything hasn't been replaced here at one time. So as you're moving along, you're saying, okay, you're in a 3-year process of taking carpet out. The carpet's 20 years old, so the next year, maybe you did the carpet maybe a year after that. So you're always running into that, so that's why it's a compounding thing.
So we're always renovating this building?
Well, we have 2 floors we're renovating right now. There's still 2 additional floors.
I mean, it's a continuing process.
Well, it's a continuing process of the upkeep of the building. I mean, the carpeting, I mean, some of the floors have, you're probably looking at some of the floors haven't been done in 10, 12, 15 years. Carpeting needs to be done, painting needs to be done. You know, that's where this money is going.
Make a suggestion, some of these members maybe want to take a tour of the facility and the buildings to get a better idea how the money is spent.
So right now,
You can
yes.
always coordinate.
You know, right now, I
Whatever you'd
mean,
like.
DSS, I mean, we're looking at DSS up there. We just did the painting up there. It was $190,000 just to do the painting up there, and we just passed a bond to do, or passed an RLA to do 330 or 300, I I think it was $30,000 worth of carpeting we have to do up there.
Do a wonderful job. The
Thank you.
buildings are nice.
Mr. Taylor?
So the reason why this is here is there hasn't been a gap in the last 17 years of a 2-year period that we've taken off doing something to this facility because it was getting towards 20 years of, at that time that there was no progress. And we've taken a little piece at a time here, basically doing either a floor or a project at a time, starting with a single floor or your energy upgrades or something of that nature to get you there. Once there's a gap, this project would be closed, but I think it shows you that, you know, it's been about $20 million since 2002. If you look at the capital plan that we've invested in this facility.
Thank you. Mr. Packers?
Is the BOE renovation or whatever you're calling it in with this, or is it separate?
That's actually, we already have a bond for that. We're already working on that right now. This is for other moves down there.
Do you anticipate?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you anticipate that everything is going according to plan?
Down for BOE?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're moving right along down there.
Let me just make one statement. That, we are here to authorize the bonds. And so tonight, I would prefer that if we just went through with that. Now, if there's any questions or you feel that you want more information, we can request that up front so that they can provide it at a later date. But we know that there's a lot that has to be done as far as the county is concerned, with all the property that we own, so forth and so on. So let us at least keep our mind on tonight, and that is authorizing these bonds. And we can get the information out.
Make a motion to move?
Yes.
Make a motion to move.
All right, can I get a motion to move on number 14? Bond authorization regarding construction. I got a second. I got a motion from Mr. O'Brien. I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Mr. Latino, are you doing 15 also?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, bond authorization regarding Albany County vehicle replacement.
Yes, 5 years ago, we started a vehicle replacement program. The vehicles were 20 years old that we had. We started replacing them. Instead of going out and buying all new vehicles at one shot, we started replacing those vehicles 1 year at a time. We moved to more of a hybrid type of fleet. This is to continue with our replacement plan so we can start getting rid of the 15s and start bringing the 15s and 16s were the Ford Focuses that weren't hybrids. So we can start where they still have value, we can still sell these cars, get value out of these cars, and start replacing these cars with the higher hybrids along the years, the out years.
Motion?
Motion from Mr. O'Brien, second. Mr. Clay, all those in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you just give us your name, please?
Yes, Lisa Raimondo, Commissioner of Albany County Department of Public Works.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
So am I to understand you're going to be doing 16 through 19?
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
Thank you very much. So we'll start with 16, bond authorization regarding various culvert replacement projects in Albany County.
Yes, I'm requesting bond authorization for replacing various culverts in the county. I can go down the list of the culverts for you. We are replacing a culvert on Gifford Hollow Road for $150,000. That will be for design services and construction inspection services. That culvert is in Bern. We're also replacing a culvert, County Route 412 over Hannah Creek. Design and construction inspection services are $270,000. This culvert is in Westerlo. We're replacing County Route 412 near Slade Hill Road. Design and construction inspection cost of $200,000, and this culvert is in Westerlo. We're also replacing County Route 402 over 8 Mile Creek, which is a culvert. Design and construction inspection costs amounting to $175,000. This is in Westerlo. That's all of the culverts in our capital plan.
Thank you. I got a motion? I have a motion from Mr. Joyce. Can I get a second? I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Number 17.
Okay.
Bond
The-
authorization regarding bridge rehabilitation improvements and upgrades.
Yes, we're requesting bond authorization to rehabilitate County Route 352 over Fox Creek. This is a bridge rehabilitation, design and construction inspection costs of $180,000. We're also asking to reconstruct County Route 403 over Wolf Fly Creek, design and construction inspection costs of $300,000. This is in Westerlo. We also have the Albany County Rail Trail Bridge Replacement Project. This is construction for $1.7 million in Bethlehem. And that is all of our bridge projects.
Okay, motion. I got a motion from Mr. Cactus. Can I get a second? I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Number 18, bond authorization regarding various highway improvements in Albany County.
Yes, for the most part, this is our highway pavement recycling project, whereby we recycle usually 7 miles of roadway for an amount of $950,000.
Excuse me. Can I get a motion? If there's no questions? I got a motion from Mr. Mayo. Can I get a second? I got a second from Mr. Bergeron. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. All opposed? Passes. Number 19, bond authorization regarding the vehicle and truck replacement project.
Yes, we're requesting authorization to bond for $1.255 million for the replacement of what amounts to mostly plow trucks and zero-turn mowers for our fleet.
There are no questions. Can I get a motion? I got a motion from Mr. Mayo. Can I get a second? I got a second from Mr. Joyce. All those in favor? Thank you. Have a good night.
All that time for this little bitty one.
Good evening, Ms. Maggie.
Good evening.
Okay, could you just give us your name and your title, please?
Maggie Alex, I'm the Director of Real Property.
All right, we're on number 20, everyone, and we're authorizing a refund of real property taxes.
This is for 6 properties in the city of Albany. They are all Habitat for Humanity housing. The unique thing about the affordable housing exemption is it does not require an application to be filed for the exemption. Therefore, it was missed on the assessment rolls, so we're just looking for refund of 2019 property tax.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? If none, can I get a motion? I got a motion from Mr. Joyce. Can I get a second? I got a second from Mr. Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. It passes. Thank you very much.
Good night.
21.
Good evening. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to introduce myself when I jumped in earlier, but my name is Luke Rogers, and I am in the County Executive's office. This request, number 21, is really a procedural request from 26.
Public hearing regarding the micro enterprise community development block grant.
Yeah, sorry, jumped the gun. So this is a request for a public hearing, as you noted. The county ran a grant program from 2016 to 2018 that procedurally requires a public hearing be held by the legislature at the end of the grant in order to file for reimbursement. So that is what we are requesting here.
Any questions? If no questions, can I get a motion?
Motion.
I got a motion from Mr. Craig, I got a second from Mr. Mayo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. We're going to now move to number 7.
Yeah, I'll take that. I can take that one as well.
All right, Mr. Rogers.
This is a, oh, go ahead and read it, sorry.
Memorandum of Understanding with Energy Improvement Corporation regarding the Sustainable Energy Loan Program.
Thank you. This is a companion piece that goes with the local law that I believe was favorably reported out
Sorry.
of the law committee on Monday night.
Yep, it's local law G, Mr. Touche's local law G, which we're adopting amendments to the Sustainable Energy Loan Program the state has in place. The state changed the law. We need to amend our law to have an analogous local law, and this, which Luke will now describe, is a committee piece.
Right, so we have an existing municipal agreement in place with EIC, which is the Energy Improvement Corporation. They are the state local development corporation that actually runs this program. We authorize it, we partner with them, but they take care of all the administrative work. So once we pass, or I shouldn't presume, once the local law goes to the legislature, if it is adopted, then we would enter into agreement via this resolution with EIC to allow them to implement the program. What the program is a sustainable energy loan program for nonprofit and corporate entities within Albany County to allow them to access financing for either renewable energy projects or energy efficiency projects. As Mr. Canizero pointed out, the state has changed their procedure for this. We believe it's a good program, so we have to change our procedure to continue to offer this program. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Putting the cart before the horse here, though?
So in terms of the legislative meeting, we have to pass, this is just something procedure we have to pass the law first, so we're going to have to go a little out of order when we're in the legislative meeting. Approve the law, so that'll be approved, and then we will come back and approve this. This has to be approved after the law is approved.
Okay, the other is going to the county attorney?
I'm sorry, I think I lost track of the question.
Wasn't there the other part of this is going out of law?
No, that was the clean air piece that the law committee sent it out for public hearing, but also asked the county attorney to take a look at it for consistency with federal and state law and technical components.
Right.
So we pass
That's
this first.
That's right.
Thank
Goodness
you.
of that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Berger.
I was there.
And the only thing I would add is we do want to run them parallel because we can't offer this program until the new agreement is adopted, so we want to, get that going as soon as we can.
Thank you.
Okay. Before we talk, can I get a motion?
Motion.
And I got a motion from Mr. Clay, I got a second from Mr. Bergdorf, and I'd like to note Mr. Joyce's abstention. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, it passes.
Thank you.
So now we're going to go back to number 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3 have been tabled. And number 4?
Yes, ma'am. We would like to withdraw this one if we could.
Thank you. I do believe you guys, you all are done.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Making sure it was okay with the W.
All right,
Did we six?
and number 6 is also tabled. And number 5 is the last one. Mr. Moriello? Okay. Before we, this was also in front of the law committee?
Personnel.
Personnel. This is also in front of the personnel committee, and it was moved out
With an unfavorable recommendation.
with an unfavorable recommendation. All right, Mr. Moriello?
Okay. At our last meeting, the committee tabled this until we received answers to the questions that we had submitted to the county executive's office. And we did receive a reply from the county executive's office, which was also sent to the majority office as well. It's a short short memo, 2 paragraphs. I'll read the paragraphs quickly. It's a quick memo. In response to your inquiry, we wish to offer the following explanation of our role in the development process of Resolution 217 for 2019. After becoming aware of its introduction, the County Executive's Office and the Department of Human Resources were contacted to provide data specific to our current employees and who would be eligible under the rules of the resolution draft at that time. Both of those memos are attached for your review. At no time was the County Executive's Office or the Department of Human Resources or the Department of Law involved in the drafting of the language of Resolution 217. Second paragraph. In addition to this informational backup request, an informal verbal request was received for a fiscal impact statement. After much consideration, it was determined such statement is not possible. One reason for this is the ambiguity of the language of the proposed resolution and who it would cover. More detail on this is outlined in the July 19, 2019 memo from the Department of Law, which was distributed to everyone at the last meeting. We continue to maintain and have stated on several occasions that the costs over time of this resolution will be significant, but offering a specific number is not possible. So really what we have here is a situation where we've passed a resolution where a couple of things. Number one, the language in it is not very clear. And so therefore, we're really not sure who this covers. Second of all, it did not have a financial impact statement. And based on the current language in this resolution, we cannot determine what the actual cost is to the county. So therefore, what I'm suggesting is because we have a resolution that is not clear, and because we don't know its cost, that at this point in time we rescind Resolution 217. Now, this is not to say that that resolution is good or bad. I think the intention when it was passed was good in that we're looking to attract applicants to work for the county that are more talented, that are more experienced. So therefore, this is a recruiting tool to bring people here to work for us. But unfortunately, because we don't know what it's going to cost, we're not really sure what our financial obligation is at this point in time. Now, and this also doesn't prevent anyone from resubmitting another resolution, again, changing the vesting period from 20 to 15 years. I think if we do that and the language is cleaned up and a financial impact statement is submitted, we'll have a better understanding of what the county's obligation is, what the cost is going to be. So, you know, it takes time to do this. And the county right now is just hanging out there with this current resolution. It could take another 6-9 months before we are able to draft or correct the language in that resolution, as well as provide a financial impact statement. I think the best thing to do at this point is just rescind 217, and if any person wants to, any legislator wants to, they can just resubmit a new resolution in the future.
I was just going to make a point. I was on the Personnel Committee, and he's not here right now, but Sean Ward made some good points about the history of the county. For as long as I've been here, since 2004, we've had struggles filling these positions due to various competing municipalities, state, federal, local community governments that have better retirement plans. Personnel Committee did send it out with a negative recommendation, but they did send it to the floor so we could all vote on it as a whole. So I wouldn't like to see it tabled again. I think we should vote on it, but I would make a motion that we send it out with an unfavorable recommendation.
I'm sorry, you said you would like to see it tabled again?
No, I would like to see it sent out with an unfavorable recommendation.
I'll second the motion.
So I got a motion from Mr. Joyce to move it out with an unfavorable recommendation. I do have a second from Mr. Clay. Can I get a vote on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? I have two opposed. Mr. Bergdorf and Mr. Webster. Okay, that's 6-2 to carry. So it'll be sent out without a favorable recommendation. Okay? That was the last item on our agenda tonight, so can I get a motion to adjourn? That motion from Mr. Joyce got a second from Mr.